Good morning. This is John Harder coming to you, live broadcast number 143. Now, I have been trying to deliver this one for a couple of days. And finally, it's working. So, but my apologies for being a few minutes late. I had only about 15 minutes left like about 15 minutes before my broadcast was to start. I happened to have an email from Cobenhood that I hadn't opened yet. It just came in this morning. And this email, it alerted me of a contest that they are running on Cobenhood. And I'm going to give you just a wee bit what Cobenhood is if you're new to it, which very many people are. Cobenhood is a decentralized exchange, coin exchange, where, obviously, probably like Blue Trade or Binance or many hundreds of exchanges that are out there, many of which have really fallen into the hands of, how should we say, the manipulators of the deep state or cabal or whatever. You see, the people that are trying to make life impossible for the average person. By those people, yeah. And because those exchanges are not decentralized, they can be manipulated that way quite easily. And so the Cobenhood in 2017 launched a platform which, these things, they take a bit of time to develop and work, to work really well and so on. Well, Cobenhood was launched in, I believe, 2017, unless it may have been late 2016. I don't really know the launch date, but I know in 2017 they had some announcements about their platform, that they were going to launch it. The coin, I believe, was available to buy. Their SEO was available ahead of time, but then their coin, their trading platform became available a little later, if I remember correctly. But when the coin first launched, I just took a few bucks and bought some. I just took bought a few dollars worth. I don't remember how much. It seems to me that it was about $10 worth. And over the time since then, it hasn't really done anything very wild. Like it hasn't like gone up in price massively. The coin that I purchased really, like, it's at this point only $20-some, whatever. But the price is now beginning to rise. Okay, now they are now have some promotions on, which usually can really happen. And what I believe they need is many more people realizing about their decentralized exchange. And here's the thing that's kind of attractive to many people, and that is that they don't charge. There are no transaction fees on their platform. You see, people who are trying to make some money by trading on these platforms, what has happened is in the past, and still is big time, is that most of their profits are eaten up by transaction fees from these platforms. And Robinhood has a zero transaction fees, which means when you do a trade, you do gain 100% of the profit that that trade is making. Okay, so I just thought that it was something that people should know. Those of you who are trying to make extra money by trading these coins, well, there you have an advantage that'll help you a bit. Now, all right, so now I want to talk about what makes a person successful. What makes a person successful in life? Okay, that sounds very, very general, right? Like successful in life. Wow, that could be any area of life. Well, that is really what I mean by this. What makes a person successful? Being successful does not come um, from out of the comfort zone. The only place where that would be the case, where it would come out of your comfort zone, would be if you have broken out of your comfort zone, say years ago maybe, and you have raised the bars of your comfort zone to a comfort zone that makes you that makes you very aware of the reality of your consciousness, your thinking, your thoughts. Basically, it's your level of consciousness that determines where your habitual thinking operates out of. That's basically how that works, and where your habitual thinking is, that is where you're creating your life. And so when we have no idea, why does this happen to me? Why does that happen to me? And of course, the other thing, why does it seem like the world is turned against me? Well, it's because that's where your thinking is operating out of. When our thought patterns are operating on that level, where we have this concept that basically the world is against me, and I have to push my way through. That is where that makes it very, very difficult to get ahead. Now, the interesting thing about these things is that how we use our words. How we use our words has a very, very big play in where our thoughts operate, because our words, they make the audible sound of what is going on in the thought world. So when we from where our thought world is, and we express that in words, the words are kind of like, how should we say? Let's use an example. You're putting up walls for your house. You're building a house and you're putting up walls for the house. and you have your walls, you have it, you have the wall, you're nailing the wall together, and now you have it nicely nailed together, and you want it nice and square, and so you lay it out all nice and square, and you nail this thing together. Well, once you lift that wall, it's going to be wobbly. So when you're in your thoughts, you're nailing it together, and you have it nice and square. So when you put braces across to rigidly keep it square, would be kind of more like the equivalent of using words to reinforce your thinking, to reinforce what your thinking is. Words have a make the thoughts more powerful than they already are. The idea of nailing the wall together is kind of, we could say, the equivalent of just the normal thinking. But now to have it rigid is then when you start saying it, especially when you say it repeatedly, which is very often what happens when a person starts feeling cold. Unless you're the type of person that you are, you feel cold, and you get up, you get your sweater, you get your coat, whatever it is, and stop feeling cold. You would be more likely just mention it. And unless you actually tune in and go ahead and get your coat or whatever it is, you'll probably mention it again. This keeps on reinforcing the fact that you feel cold, and it's going to increase as you say it. This works in almost any situation that you're in. So now when we want to turn this around, first of all, saying it is a great idea in order to change our mind. This is where affirmations are very, very powerful, because a person who has, let's say you have an overweight problem and you want to lose weight, and you've tried dieting, you've tried all kinds of things, and you lose some weight, and it always comes back. And when it does come back, it seems like it brings some of its friends along, and here your problem has increased. Well, this can be fixed. This can be permanently fixed by affirmations. By affirmations. Now, let me just say something right here. When we use affirmations and we are serious about what we want to do, and this is really the first thing. This is really the first thing, that when we want to make a change, that we are absolutely relentlessly positive about that change. That we're going to do this, whatever it takes, I'm making this change. And that is the difference between using some kind of, how should we say, diet. It doesn't mean, just don't get me wrong, I'm not here to say that diets are no good. I'm not here to say that. What I am saying, though, is that diets, what happens is that we rely on the diet doing the job instead of us doing the job. And the diet is only going to do the job as long as we keep on applying it, which the idea of the diet usually is that eventually we won't need to apply it. Okay, that's the idea. And this is where affirmations will take over on that scale. So what do I mean? When you use affirmations, you then are already convinced ahead of time, because this is part of affirming. By the way, I did not deliver on my promise. I said that I was going to start this broadcast with affirmations, and that slipped my mind. Well, we'll fix that for next time. But the affirmations, what their purpose is to make rigid in your subconscious, to convince your subconscious that this is the new you. A diet is not going to do that. It will apply it in your body and possibly make some changes, because you believe that those materials or those, that diet will lose the weight that you want to lose, that it will help your body lose that weight. And therefore, it does work while you are doing it. But affirmations are much more powerful than that, because here's the deal. When you're doing affirmations, you are convincing your subconscious that this is your new weight. This is what my weight now is. Affirmations aren't doing any good if you are affirming that I'm going to be, future tense. Remember how we can find a verse that talks about today is the day of salvation. Your subconscious does not register some future tense. Now, having said that, there is actually an aspect in which it does, but we can talk about that either later or another time. But what I'm driving at is that the power in convincing the subconscious is in convincing it that on the spiritual plane, it's already done. It is your new desire. You see, your desires that you have is the real you. The desires for more wealth is the real you. But it takes your commitment to bring that into physical reality. And this is where affirmations are so powerful. Let's just look at this a wee bit to see how it works. You have your life is, we'll use the weight again in this for this explanation. You weigh 200 pounds more than you want to weigh. All right. This is your weight, and you have been frustrated, you have been this, and you have been that, and that weight does not go away. Matter of fact, it seems like you're slowly gaining more. And the reason that is happening is because of your frustration, because your mind is on it, and because you are thinking about it, and you're feeling helpless, which, by the way, means that you're handing the power over to your helplessness instead of taking control of it yourself. Now, once you acknowledge the desires that you have are the real you. Listen to what I'm saying. There's an infinite intelligence which gives you the desires to be what the real you is. Are you with me here? Your DNA exists in the entire universe, and that is the real you, which comes to you in your desires. Those desires that you have are the real you. But in physical form, in your reality, there are so many things that are different than what your desires are. Well, that's because your subconscious has been fed by the frustrations, by the thinking of the thinking of lack, or the thinking of not being able to fulfill that, is what the subconscious has been feeding on and has been perpetuating what that very thing that you want to change and make better and fit to your desires. So how do we do this? We begin by convincing ourselves, our own subconscious mind, to how the real you is. In other words, the weight that I want to be at is my real weight. The rest is actually an illusion. The rest is really just an illusion, making me frustrated, making me angry, and all of these things, as long as I hand the power over to Can't. Can't is the only devil in the universe, because there is nothing that we can't do. We can do anything that we want to. We have to understand and know that we can. We can. In TBC, if you want to refer people into TBC, let's put it this way. If you make up your mind, come hell or high water, I will refer one person into TBC every day. It might be a little difficult at first, but it might not be. But if your resolve is that that is what I'm going to do every day, then it will become easier and easier, and pretty soon it'll likely be even difficult to keep it at just one person a day. If that's what your aim really is, I don't know. But the thing is, until your subconscious is convinced that that's the new you, you might run through some pretty difficult, pretty challenging times before you will actually make that happen. But once the subconscious is convinced that this is the new you, it'll pretty much happen automatically. And that's exactly how it works with losing weight. Once your subconscious knows and understands, once you have convinced the subconscious that this is the new you, diet or not, you will lose the weight and you will be at the weight that you want to be. Because that is the real you. Those desires, the desires for what you want in your life, is the real you. Now, we realize there's one thing we must realize. We can never make up the mind for other people. This we can try to manipulate, and we can try to trick people and whatever. If that's what you want to do, you can try that. But But in honest truth, we cannot force people. It is written in the cosmos that every person is free, has a free will. We all have our free will to live our lives the way we want to. Where most people don't live their lives the way they want to is because they don't know how to steer their subconscious, which is, now let's put this in perspective a little bit. Your emotions have the steering wheel. Your emotions have the steering wheel. If you can control your emotions, you got the power. Because the emotions is what triggers the subconscious. If a person wants to make a change, the best and easiest way to do this is to get emotionally involved in the new idea that you have. You get emotionally involved, meaning that you feel yourself enjoying the new you. Whatever it is you can do to make yourself feel as if it's already true. That feeling as if it's already true will convince your subconscious. And once your subconscious is convinced, it will cause you to take all the right actions to make that happen. It will open doors for you. It will make you, it will line up the right people for you. Everything will fall in place. Synchronicities happen once you convince your subconscious. The subconscious makes no decisions whatsoever. Making the decisions is up to you. The desires come to you. The desires to be the real you, they come to you. You then, it's only your responsibility to get your emotions involved, to give yourself the feeling that that is the real you, that that is the new life for you. And when you do that, you involve your feelings, whether it's affirmations, whether it's whether you can you know, whether you have to do physical things, maybe write things down, maybe you can go on walks or draw pictures to make it look like the new you or the new thing that you want in your life. But it's the convincing of your subconscious that will make it happen. Because once your subconscious is convinced, you will take all the right actions and everything else falls in place for you. But this is where most of us struggle. And here's why. Because we have from childhood been steered away from making that connection. This was done intentionally. It's been done for thousands of years intentionally to steer people away from their own power so that they would easily succumb to the ideas of lack and limitation and thereby be mentally controlled by the manipulators of the world. So don't beat yourself up because things don't happen for you as quick as you want them to. Don't, you know, let's say you're a TBCian and you want to refer a lot of people to TBC, you want to do these things, and it seems like nobody is tuning in to what you're saying. Well, the biggest part is because you are not really in tune. Because all the right people are already waiting for you. They're already waiting for you. Everything is already here. The people are already here. The money is already here. TBC is already here. And all the wealth that you can want is already here. It's a matter of tuning in. It's a matter of making the connection through your feelings to connect your subconscious to the real you. All right, I don't know how long I have talked here. Yeah.
28 minutes or something.
Okay, so it's I guess it's just about 30 minutes, and okay, and so that was basically my point. And I will say this, that TBC does have a very nice system, steps laid out on how to do things, how to to go through. But my point is that if we go through those steps blindly, we're not going to accomplish anything. And we'll be frustrated because things do not happen. And that's because we don't understand. This is the point of this broadcast. Now, I am actually putting together a coaching program right now. Not a program where I'm just shoving a bunch of information your way and try to get you to figure it out. No, I'm putting a coaching program together where you can work with me one-on-one, and where you will really, really understand, you will gain the understanding that the connection to everything you want, to be able to connect that, to be able to connect your reality, your physical, to the real you that already exists on the spiritual plane. Okay? And when a person wants to do this, I will just tell you this, that you have to become a real kick-ass for yourself. Okay? Now, if you want to, more about this program, I'm going to be placing link, actually, not in this video yet, because I am still setting up, and I'm working with other coaches as well, with other success coaches. You see, I've been coaching people already before, and I have never charged for it. And I've been noticing there's other people that I'm working with that have been doing the same thing. They started out like that, but there's a few things that happen when you do start charging. When you start charging for what you're really worth, the people that you coach, they make huge leaps forward, as well as yourself. You become much more effective very quickly by charging what the coaching is really worth. The one-on-one mentoring is the most powerful way to make quantum leaps forward. Here's the deal. If you don't invest anything, you don't get, all right, how did you say it? If you don't put anything out, you will not get anything. If you don't put anything in, you will not get anything out. There we go. I knew I had I had it figured out somehow. But that's the point. When you know what you want and you confirm that with money, you have a much, much more sure way of getting it. Thank you so much for, let me actually acknowledge the people. Tone, I don't know if you've been with me before. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Tanu. Susan Harder, thank you for tuning in. Marjorie, thank you for moderating again. And I believe, well, I did see that there were 5 at one point. There are actually 5 watching now, it says. So those of you who haven't showed up in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I hope that I have given you something today that will help you. For some reason, it's looks like it's catching up as if, is the internet not working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for attending my broadcast, and I wish you a wonderful day or evening or whatever it is that you are approaching. Thanks.